Aloha, I'm Jack Dugan with Pacific Media Group in Maui now. Today I sit down with Mayor Michael Victorino and Judge Richard Bisson to ask them some questions about important issues facing us all here in Maui County. We will allow 3 minutes for each question to be answered, and then we're going to finish it off with some quick-fire questions. We hope this helps you learn more about the candidates so you can make an informed decision as you go to vote this year. Welcome, Mayor Victorino. Thank you for taking some time to answer our questions.
Mahalo for allowing me this opportunity.
Okay, first question, over tourism. With crowded airports and a return of tourism to near pre-pandemic levels, visitor congestion has surfaced as a key issue among our readers. Do you believe that over-tourism exists? And if so, how should it be measured and mitigated?
Well, first of all, over-tourism back in March of 2021 did exist. We had a pent-up demand for visitors. There were no other places open in the world, and Hawaii opened up. And there were many, many people coming here uncontrolled, and we had just a surge that many of us could not handle. In fact, if you remember, I asked people not to come during that time because it was so overcrowded. Now, the rest of the world is pretty much opened up. And so I believe, if you can see the numbers lately, our high-end destination has drawn less numbers as far as people that are coming. Our occupancy rate is the lowest in the state, but our residual effect and our monies that are coming in for the par value of the hotel is on the high side. So they're doing quite well. I think we are looking at what Maui Park Maui will be doing. You know, some of the programs that we'll be instituting that will help reduce the number of visitors that are coming here. I believe that our policy of no commercial activities on Sundays and holidays at our beach parks is beginning to work, and the visitor and are seeing that we are a home, not a destination, and I believe we are in a good position now. We depend on the hospitality industry, but we've got to make sure they know they come here to respect the resources and the people that live here. This is our home. And so with that being said, I think the hospitality industry with the Maui Nui plan, which we are a part of and we've spent the last 2.5 years working on, is now taking effect, and I think it will be what we call regenerative tourism will be a big part of how we move forward, both in the hospitality industry and as a community.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, Rick, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Aloha, Jack.
Okay, aloha to you too. I'm going to get right into these questions. First question, over tourism.
So we understand that tourism is a main economic driver for our island, our county. We also understand, however, that tourists impact our infrastructure, they impact our resources, they impact the quality of life for our residents. And so I think there is an impact when tourists are here. However, there are ways we can manage that. There are ways we can coexist. But I think we have to understand that there is a capacity that we can withstand on our island, on our 3 islands that make up our county. I'm a proponent, for example, of limiting the times and the hours that a tourist could drive in and out of Hana, as an example. So we would say no driving in between the hours of 6 and 8. Anytime after that, maybe limit it from the hours of 4 to 6. Whatever those times would be that, we put it out to the county, I think would work. Having a toll booth, maybe at, let's say, Twin Falls and one at the winery up in Ulupalakua would be another possible way to manage tourists that go into Hana. I think our Hana people, they want the tourist business, but I also think that the residents who have to drive in and out for work don't want to have that extra impact. And I also think we should pay good attention to our Maui Nui destination plan, which is 2022-2023. There's one for Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. And I feel like we need to follow the recommendations that came up with, that had been arrived at by the stakeholders who took advantage and got together and held community meetings. The newest term we hear now is regenerative tourism, which is, to me, it used to be ecotourism, it used to be sustainable tourism, and today we use this term. And I think, again, it was the result of a lot of hard work for a lot of people who put the time in to come up with this plan. So I think we should honor it. And again, there's one separate for Lanai, separate for Molokai, and separate for Maui, so that we can manage our tourist industry. But again, keeping in mind, we know 50% of our funds that we receive here for our county comes from this industry. And we also understand that there's a lot of small businesses and a lot of people who earn their living off of tourism.
Okay, next question is related to cost of living. The cost of living has always been an issue for our island community. However, it has been amplified by inflation and climbing interest rates. Costs have also been compounded by supply chain shortages. What are your solutions for bringing down the cost of living to make Maui more affordable to residents?
Well, of course, we need livable wages for our kama'aina. We also need viable career options for our youth. And we need to be very mindful of industry that we can create for our youth. And one of the things we should consider doing is, of course, mentoring and internship programs. We should develop our workforce right here on Maui. And I think we should start as young as high school. And of course, for sure, college. Industries that would interest our youth. We could also work in partnership with the University of Hawaii Maui campus, Maui College, to again look at types of industry that our youth would want to enter into. And those who go away to the mainland, we would want to work with them when they're home on their breaks, again, as interns. Anyone who receives a grant from the County of Maui on my administration will be required to have an internship program in there. We can't expect to have employees if we're not doing anything on our part to develop that workforce. So again, I think that's something we can do. Another way of going back to your cost of living part of your question is the county needs to manage its money better. We have increased our budget by over $400 million in this cycle. Over $400 million, that's incredible. Thinking we went from 800 million to 1.17 billion. And again, I think that's one area we can reduce cost of living is tightening our belt as government. You know, we need prudent spending. If we want to expect our citizens to make sacrifices because of supply chain issues, or have to pay more for their gas, pay more for their groceries, pay more for their utilities, then we need to show that same discipline as government, and I think be the example, and we need to be more efficient. And ways we could do that is we can leverage our monies by working closer with federal and state departments and agencies, organizations, take advantage of our nonprofits here. In other words, working with them, they provide a lot of services to our community.
Thank you, Rick. Next question, cost of living.
Well, first of all, one of the biggest issues is the affordable rentals and obtainable housing. Without that basic need being met, a lot of other issues occur. So what we've been doing is ramping up the housing initiative. I recently signed Bill 107, which limits the amount that you can pay for your mortgage. And that will help many of our working families be able to afford not only to rent, but now to even buy additional units that are becoming available. We've built 1,300 units over the last 3 years, and they've been occupied. We have 742 in the queue now that are being built, and we have over 5,000 in the pipeline that have been approved, are now ready to be started. We just started one up in Wailuku at the Wailuku Apartments. 324 apartments will be built on the corner of Waiale, Kuikai Highway, and Honapilani Highway, that across Longs and Foodland in Wailuku. And so I think this is a good start. We got to bring the housing and the price of housing and the price of rentals down. That's the start. When it comes to food we start to grow here. We start to become competitive in growing up food and being able to sell it within our local markets here, our farmers markets and other areas. Right now we are working on helping our food hubs, our innovation center here at the University of Hawaii Maui College is up and running to sell value-added products. We also have a Department of Ag that will help mentor our farmers, help them to find USDA and FDA loans or grants that can help make them more stable. Also with water and other issues, we are working very diligently to make sure this will help bring the price of food down. And finally, taxation. I've always said this state has a regressive tax. That's a state issue now. The GET is a state issue, but we still must advocate for those elderly that they know and those who are disadvantaged not to have to pay GET on food and drugs. These are two key essentials that should help bring down some of the pricing of housing. And finally, we all have to work together to share. That's what we grew up. We didn't have much. We didn't go to the store to buy much, but we shared with our neighbors. And this is really another way of keeping the price of paradise down.
Thank you. Next question, affordable housing. Council just passed a bill that tries to make affordable housing more affordable by changing the sales price guidelines. Developers, meanwhile, have said that it will make it harder to build affordable projects. Do you think this bill will help or hurt affordable housing?
Well, like anything else, you need to try it out before you know if it'll work or not. So I believe that it is time to take a real good hard look at it. You know, we have young people that need to buy homes or be able to rent affordable apartments and units. And right now, the way the prices have gone up, it has made it unreachable for many of them. So this will help be a starting point, along with my private-public partnerships that we have instituted. You know, these private partnerships help the government put in infrastructure for the reduction in price of the home or apartments for our residents to live in. And these are being they look very promising in the future. And so we just recently completed the Wailuku Country Town project, which is in Waikapu. That's Mr. Atherton's project. And he's giving us an additional 300 units for us helping him build the Waiale extension and the infrastructure for the new central waste treatment plant that we're building here off of Kuilani Highway in central Maui. Now that waste treatment plant will also be a big factor in getting all of the waste from this part of town in central Maui out to that plant, which will be made and designed to utilize the R1 water for agriculture and irrigation. So it kills two birds with one stone. The other part of that will be that we'll build 500 more units across the street from Atherton's development, which will be county owned on county land, and we'll be able to set the pricing and make sure it's fixed for our residents, especially our workforce, our police, fire, teachers, all of those essential workers that need housing, that want to stay here, that don't really qualify for the 80% and lower, but are in the gap group, which is the 100 to 140%. But they're essential to our existence, and also to make sure that our doctors, nurses, and other medical technicians, all of these workers are essential to our community, but maybe not directly connected with the hospitality industry. Also, we are looking at working with the hotels and other resorts to see what kind of housing can be built either near or in the area of these resorts. There are some that is old to us, and there are others that we are looking to bring forward in the near future.
Thank you. This is related to affordable housing.
In our way of thinking, there is no such thing as affordable housing on Maui. I think there's two prices, expensive and out of reach. I know we use the term affordable as a formula, as a way of determining eligibility, but the fact of the matter is, I don't think you can call a $1 million house an affordable house. That's the average price of homes. And it's gone up in the last 4 years from the 700,000s to over $1 million for the average cost of a house. I think our program that we like to promote is called Kama'aina housing. Kama'aina housing is where the focus is on who is in the home, not the cost of the home. When we talk about affordable housing, what we're really focusing on is the price of the house. And if you build 500 affordable houses and you sell 450 to people from outside of Hawaii, what have you really done for the housing problem? You haven't done anything. So again, I think we're counting the wrong metric, or we're looking at the wrong data. We should be focusing on who's getting the house, who's living in the house, who's moving in the house. And that's what we're trying to work on. Our Kama'aina housing plan also involves short-term, which is accessory dwelling units. People call them ohanas or cottages. That's something that we want to promote. That's the quickest way. In my first 180 days of office, I'm committing to permitting 100 ADUs. And the way we're going to do that is approve certain sets of plans, a studio, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom. And if you select one of those and you're on county water and county sewer, we're going to fast track those permitting and get 100 homes granted the permits. We also think we need to take better advantage of existing infrastructure. Vacant commercial space, Sports Authority, Lowe's, the Safeway in Kahului. These are places that already have water, already have sewer, already have parking. They've already, been disturbed, the ground. So we may as well make those into living quarters. Now, whether we have them leasehold or fee simple or rentals, mixed use, the idea behind that is to revitalize that commercial space. Maybe putting, a Starbucks or a grocery store at the bottom and have tenants live above. Can be kupuna, can be millennials, people just getting their first homes, or people who want to downsize. So the housing issue is a big challenge, but we have lots of exciting ideas. So much so that other people are also adopting some of our ideas. And I think that's how we're going to help get our local people, our Kama'aina, into homes so they're not forced to leave Maui.
Thank you. Okay, next question is about public safety. Public safety is often identified as a top priority among candidates, yet Maui still faces recurring issues with vehicle thefts, use of firearms in the commission of crimes, and a police force that has a nearly 25% vacancy rate. What are some immediate solutions you have to strengthening safety within the community, and do you feel progress is being made right now?
Public safety is the number one responsibility of the mayor. The number one responsibility is to take care of your citizens. And the way we're going to do that is through recruitment and retention. I think what we need to do is build morale. What we need to do is build trust. What we need to do is bring groups together. SHOPO, the police commission, the chief, the mayor, the rank and file, the command staff. These are all folks that need to work together and blend together harmoniously. We're about 100 officers short, like you said, 25% of the force. We're also about 50% short on our radio transmission officers, which is dispatch. And I think what the mayor can do specifically is meet with the chief, meet with the rank and file, increase morale there. I think in a previous discussion I had that we were at a debate, the mayor, the current mayor's answer was, well, that's the police commission's responsibility. No, the mayor appoints the police commission. The police commission, while they're responsible for evaluating the police chief's performance, it's the mayor's job as the leader to inspire the leadership. And I think what's lacking is that active leadership, taking control. Maybe as simple as appearing at one of the watch briefings, introducing ourselves and meeting the men and women there. I was honored to be the keynote speaker at the recent police recruit graduation. And it was a small class, but there are things that you can see that inspire them. I think lots of officers that come in, they want to be promoted. They want to work their way up the rank. I think that's that the mayor can help inspire them to aspire and be ambitious to do more. I think again, what we're lacking right now is that harmony, that trust that's lacking. And I feel, I've had a degree in political science, I have my law degree, but recently I received a Ho'oponopono certificate after 5.5 years of training. And I thought I was going to use that in retirement, but I can see now this would come in handy as the CEO of the county of Maui, because there's definitely relationships that need to be repaired, and I guess again trust restored. I think the mayor's job is again to inspire those that mayor leads, and I think I'm the kind of leader that can bring that. I have a 35-year experience in law enforcement and public safety and providing public safety.
Thank you. Next question is about public safety.
Well, shortage on our police department as far as personnel has long existed. And it's gotten worse because of a lot of retirements that have come, and we've not been able to recruit. I think one of the biggest areas is some of the challenges this day and age of becoming a police officer. First of all, it is not the same as it was 25 years ago. Many of our police officers today face a lot of different issues that they never had to when they were kids and watched policemen work at that time, or police officers work at that time. Part of it is we need to continue to increase their wages, help them with housing. Retention bonuses are very important, and utilization of private cars may be another option that I have heard from many police officers that they would long to have. In other words, use their own car and not a fleet car. Now, in the area of law, with more police officers, I think we can curb some of the challenges like speeding and inattention driving, because we can make more checkpoints. When it comes to criminal activities, I think that goes to some of the laws that are in existence. Sometimes some of the laws that are there are too lenient to those who break them, and they tend to be repeat offenders. I think in many areas we need to strengthen the penalty phase of the law itself and make sure that the penalty is paid and paid in full. During this pandemic, they released a lot of prisoners because of the overcrowding in our holding cells, our Maui Correctional Center. And it was really important to know that sometimes these criminals had checkered past that really made it difficult to have them released. And the public wasn't informed that some of these criminals were released. So we need to make sure that judges, as well as defenders, know that the consequences of not paying, having somebody pay for what they've done wrong, has a profound effect, not only on the victim, but the community itself. So I'm in favor of making stronger laws, but making sure that they're fair and equitable, and that it's applied across the board, and not be sometimes with good behavior, you let go early and have another chance to strike at the public itself.
Thank you. Okay, the last question. This is about water rights. There was strong public testimony in support of establishing a water authority to possibly take over the East Maui irrigation system. However, a recent auditor report said that the cost to implement this is unknown and the EMI system is quite complex. Do you support the county looking into acquiring EMI, and how much county money is reasonable to spend on a water authority?
Well, we've looked at different water sources in the past. Wailuku Water Company, which I have made offers and they've turned us down. So I'm not sure what the cost or what kind of offer would be acceptable to the EMI or A&B, who owns much of that system, or at least controls the system. I don't say they own it, because a lot of that water system that we're talking about with EMI is coming off of public lands. Diversions come off of public streams and public entities. And so they have had a lease to take care of that system. And we needed a lot of water back in the day, and it was a marvelous feat of engineering to bring water from East Maui to Central Maui. But today, we have better systems. We need to have more piping and other systems that will make sure that we don't lose as much water as we have in the past. The other part of this issue is I want everybody at the table. I want the East Maui taro farmers, other farmers, ranchers, the residents of East Maui, Mahipono, EMI, A&B. Everybody has to be at the table to make sure this water authority works and works the way it should work. That everybody gets what they deserve and no waste is occurring. Finally, we've had a real push to restore our streams, because we realize how this water diversion has affected our fisheries. And so the opu and the opai and other fish that near shore have not thrived like they used to, because there's no water coming down the stream or little water at all. So we know one of the biggest thing is we need to divert the water, not divert the water. I mean, we need to make sure that the water we use is used properly, and like the aha system is to make sure that we reuse the water as it comes down the mountain. And so when it gets to the ocean, it is utilized again to rehatch and to replenish our fisheries. This is really important. So what I'm saying now is this water authority needs to be countywide, not just in East Maui. And to purchase that, I would be in favor in favor of it, but it has to be a collaborative effort between myself, the county, and the rest of the people of Maui County, because they are the benefactors of it, and I want to make sure they are at the table to make sure it works.
Thank you. Next question. This is about water rights.
I don't know if the county would, well, let me first start that water is the most important resource we need on our island, and it has to be a top priority for any leader. I think that with regard to your specific question, the issue of acquiring the permit or the license from the state is something that the county should definitely consider. I think the county should control the water. I don't know if the county is set up to manage the water system. Controlling water means the decision making. Controlling water means allocation, distribution. The management part is the transmission, taking care of the physical apparatus, taking care of it. It's about 75 miles of water line that we're talking about, and that's a long stretch. It stretches over private land, government land. So again, it's a very complex system, as you say in your question. I think for the county, again, we should control our water. Whether or not we are able to afford what it would take to actually own the system. Again, the system, not really the water. The water is a public trust. I don't know that we can ever actually own the water, but we can own the apparatus that transmits and distributes the water. So I think for us, we should really consider what the auditor's concern was. It's kind of hard and difficult to put a number on it. How much is it going to cost to fix? How much is it going to cost to repair? How much is it going to cost to maintain? How much is it going to cost for employees to watch over that system? And once we become the owners of it, how do we decide on who is paying? What is an equal share to pay? I guess it's on usage, how many gallons you take from the system. But is that going to fall on the residents? Is that going to fall on commercial? Again, these are fair questions to ask, and it would have been helpful if the auditor could have come up with a number so that when people vote on the amendment, they can have a better, more clear idea of what they're voting on. If you say to somebody, "Oh, I want to buy this car," and they go, "Well, how much does it cost?" And they say, "Well, I'll tell you after you tell me you want it." They're like, "Well, I hope I can afford it. I think I know how much cars in this range are, but once you've decided it's yours." I think that's the complexity of it, is not knowing how much it will cost.
Okay, thank you for that. This section of questions, as we've titled them, they're quick fire questions. So for the first one, yes or no? Do you think there should be a cap or limit on how many visitor or hotel units can be built?
Yes, like anything else, we should look at what the maximum numbers that can be sustained. So yes.
Thank you. Next question. Flooding in Kihei is a recurrent issue. What's the better fix? Better sewer maintenance or spending more on infrastructure?
All of the above. Definitely infrastructure, I think, is the broad answer that covers the sewer part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, next question. Yes or no? Can Maui build its way out of the housing crisis?
Probably not, but we should try.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Your best effort on a one-word answer, please.
Okay.
Name one thing in this year's record-setting budget that could have been trimmed.
Mayor's office.
Next question. What's to blame for the major erosion happening along Ka'anapali? Climate change, poor planning, or something else?
I don't want to blame it all on planning, but obviously Mother Nature has a hand in this.
And the last question, and there's three options on this question, I'll read them at the end.
Okay.
The upcountry water meter list has been stalled for decades. How high is this on your priority list? Number 1, in the top 10, or this is not a priority?
Top 10.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Okay, switching gears. The next section are what we have titled quick fire questions. So the first one, yes or no? Do you think there should be a cap or limit on how many visitor or hotel units can be built?
No.
Okay, next question. Flooding in Kihei is a recurrent issue. What's the better fix? Improved sewer maintenance or spending more on infrastructure?
Spending more on infrastructure.
Next question. Yes or no?
Okay.
Can Maui build its way out of the housing crisis?
I believe so. Yes.
And this next question, one word answer, please. Name one thing in this year's record-setting budget that could have been trimmed.
Use of our hospitality industries fund.
Next question. What's to blame for the major erosion happening along Ka'anapali? Climate change, poor planning, or something else?
Climate change.
Okay, the last question. And there's three options. I'll read them at the end. The upcountry water meter list has been stalled for decades. How high is this on your priority list? First, top on the list? In the top 10? Or this is not a priority?
Top 10.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, so much for answering the questions and taking time with us today.
Well, it was my pleasure.